On an ordinary afternoon at Danvers High School, security cameras captured teacher Colleen Ritzer walking to the second-floor bathroom, her steps casual, unaware of the danger lurking just behind her. Following at a careful distance, 14-year-old Philip Chisholm, her quiet student, keeps his gaze fixed on her, his steps deliberate. Moments later, he emerges from the bathroom, his jeans and hands stained with blood. What happened in those final moments? This is the tragic case of Colleen Ritzer, a devoted teacher, loved by her students and colleagues, whose life was cut short by a young teenager in a crime that shocked the community. Danvers, Massachusetts, a small town near Boston, has a dark past. Once called Salem Village, it was where the 1692 Salem witch trials began. Accusations of witchcraft caused panic and led to the tragic deaths of innocent people, leaving a mark on history. Although nearby Salem is more famous for this, Danvers was where the fear truly spread. Later, in the 1800s, Danvers built a large psychiatric hospital with eerie Gothic buildings. The hospital used early treatments like electroshock therapy and lobotomies. It closed in the 1990s but is still known for ghost stories, drawing visitors who are curious about its haunted past. Colleen Elizabeth Ritzer, a 24-year-old teacher, taught 9th grade algebra at Danvers High. She was the eldest child of Tom and Peggy Ritzer and had 2 younger siblings. People described Colleen as positive and optimistic, with a big heart and a strong dedication to helping others. Family meant everything to her, and she cherished every moment with them. From a young age, Colleen knew that teaching was her calling. She brought an infectious enthusiasm for both teaching and learning, and often began her classes with inspiring quotes or images. Colleen was active on social media, sharing puzzles and games to help her students, and was always willing to help anyone struggling with math. Students who once disliked the subject said Colleen's unique style and positivity made them see math in a new light. Her caring nature and willingness to help anyone in need quickly made her popular with her students. On Tuesday, October 22, 2013, as the school day was ending and the building started to empty, Colleen stayed behind, finishing up some tasks in her classroom. She left her room, labeled a 209, around 3 p.m., chatted briefly with another teacher in the hallway, and headed to the second-floor bathroom. By evening, a concerned parent filed a missing person report. Diana Chisholm's 14-year-old son, Philip Chisholm, hadn't returned home. Philip was a quiet, reserved teenager who had recently moved from Tennessee with his mother following his parents' divorce. Known for his athletic ability, Philip kept to himself and socialized with very few students at Danvers High School. Danvers High soccer coach Mike Chase had also noted Philip's absence from practice and that he had missed the team meal as well. Later that evening, Danvers High School Principal Sue sent an email to all school faculty and staff, notifying them that Philip was missing. Shortly after, another math teacher named Sarah called Sue. She had just been contacted by Colleen Ritzer's parents, who were looking for their daughter. Colleen hadn't come home yet and hadn't been in contact with anyone. Colleen lived with her parents and was expected home hours earlier. Her father, Tom, had already driven to the school searching for her, but left empty-handed. He saw her car still parked in its spot, but couldn't find her around the school. Tom later recalled how proud he was of her and how much he wanted to tell her about his excitement for her new classroom. As time passed, concern for both the missing teacher and student intensified. Danvers High had been closed for hours, and there seemed no reason for either of them to still be on the premises. Sarah, the teacher, also informed Sue that Philip had been in Colleen's last class that day. It seemed too coincidental that both were now missing. Sue and several other teachers decided to go to the school to search for Colleen and Philip, but they didn't find them. Colleen's classroom appeared undisturbed, but her belongings were gone, and her car remained parked outside. With no sign of their daughter, Colleen's parents officially reported her missing to the Danvers police. Detectives promptly contacted her cell phone provider to trace her phone, which last pinged about 24 minutes from the high school, suggesting she was on foot. They also traced Philip's phone to a nearby cinema, Hollywood Hits Theater, but when officers arrived, he was no longer there. The school and surrounding area were searched, and Colleen's purse was found nearby. Her wallet and identification cards were missing. Inside the school, reddish-brown stains were found in the second-floor bathroom, raising even greater concern. Shortly afterward, a report came in of a young man walking along Route 1 in Topsfield. The Topsfield police realized that this young man was, in fact, the missing Philip Chisholm. After frisking him, they found a knife in his possession and took him to the Topsfield police station, where his backpack was searched. In it, officers found a blood-stained box cutter, Colleen's credit cards and driver's license, and underwear that was later confirmed to belong to Colleen. Philip first claimed he found the items lying around in a store and picked them up on a whim. Then he said he stole them from a car. When officers asked about the blood on the box cutter, he simply replied, "The girl," and told them that she was beyond help and lying in the woods. Philip was transported to the Danvers police station, where he later met his mother. He requested to speak with officers alone and without his mother present. Soon after, he was arrested. Police then discovered Colleen's body in the woods near the high school. She had been strangled, stabbed multiple times, and sexually assaulted. She was naked from the waist down, with her top pulled up and her bra pushed down. Beside her lay a handwritten note saying, "I hate you all." Colleen's body was posed in a sexually suggestive manner and had been violated with a tree branch, which was still in place. About 20 yards away from her body, officers found a large recycling bin, bloody gloves, and clothing. But what had led to this shocking tragedy? With over 100 security cameras in and around Danvers High School, police meticulously combed through footage, hoping to piece together what had happened. The video would reveal a deeply disturbing sequence of events. Another student in Colleen's final class remembered seeing Philip and Colleen talking after class. Colleen had noticed Philip sketching during the lesson and asked him to stay for extra help with an upcoming test. According to this student, during their conversation, Colleen mentioned Tennessee, Philip's former home state. This remark seemed to upset him, and he began muttering under his breath. Sensing his discomfort, Colleen quickly changed the topic, but Philip's mood had darkened. Shortly after their conversation ended, Colleen left for the second-floor bathroom. A minute later, Philip put his hood up, donned gloves, and followed her. Once inside the restroom, he strangled her, stabbed her 16 times with the box cutter he'd brought, and raped her. A female student walked into the same bathroom, seeing what appeared to be a person changing. She saw the exposed back of someone with clothes on the floor. Not wanting to intrude, she quickly left. Meanwhile, Philip left the bathroom, only to return minutes later. He retrieved some of his and Colleen's belongings, put on a black ski mask, and briefly spoke to another student before removing the mask. Philip then wheeled a recycling bin into the bathroom and placed Colleen's body inside. Donning his ski mask once more, he transported the bin through the hallways and out to the student parking lot, where he took it into the woods. Once there, he sexually assaulted Colleen's body with a 3-foot-long tree branch and partially covered her with leaves and sticks. Around this time, a parent saw Philip running near the school and informed the principal. Meanwhile, Philip continued his movements. He returned to the school with blood on his jeans and missing his shoes. He changed clothes, went back to the second-floor bathroom briefly, and then left the building. From there, Philip went to a cinema and bought a ticket for a movie showing. Afterward, he used Colleen's credit card to make a purchase at a nearby Wendy's. Detectives later discovered both Philip's and Colleen's phones had been smashed, likely by Philip, near the school, explaining why her last location was there. According to the pathologist, Colleen's official causes of death were asphyxiation by strangulation and 16 wounds to the neck, 3 of which struck major arteries. The pathologist noted it was impossible to determine definitively which factor caused her death, but believed asphyxiation likely occurred first, as the neck injuries would have made it difficult to strangle her afterward. Medical examiners concluded that Colleen was likely still alive when Philip dragged her to the woods and subjected her to further assault. A Harvard psychiatry professor later remarked that cases like this were off the charts rare, emphasizing the brutality of this crime. Philip Chisholm was charged with murder, rape, and armed robbery. Despite the overwhelming evidence and partial confession, he entered a not guilty plea. In Massachusetts, any individual 14 or older facing a murder charge is automatically tried as an adult. While awaiting trial, Philip attacked a youth services worker at the detention center where he was being held. He followed her into a locker room where he choked and beat her, mirroring his actions against Colleen. This added further charges, leading to a separate trial for attempted murder in this case. In 2015, Philip's trial for the murder of Colleen Ritzer began. His defense team did not deny that he had killed Colleen, but argued that he suffered from a psychotic episode triggered by her mention of Tennessee. They asked the jury to find him not guilty by reason of insanity. Defense attorney Denise Regan explained that Philip came from a family with a history of mental health issues and likely suffered from them himself. A psychiatrist for the defense suggested that Philip probably had early-onset schizophrenia, influencing his actions. The prosecution argued that Philip was not psychotic and that his actions were calculated. A psychiatrist testified that Philip's responses during a psychological evaluation suggested he was attempting to fake bad and demonstrate mental illness that wasn't genuine. They argued that his premeditation, bringing a box cutter, gloves, and a ski mask to school, demonstrated a clear, calculated intent. This, they claimed, was not the result of a psychotic break, but rather of deliberate planning. During the trial, Philip's defense team argued fiercely against the charge of sexual assault in the woods, claiming that Colleen had already passed by that point, making it legally impossible to charge him with rape under Massachusetts law, which requires a living victim for conviction of this specific offense. The jury deliberated on this aspect, ultimately acquitting him of this second count of rape involving the tree branch, concluding that Colleen may have already died before the assault occurred. The defense argued Philip was struggling with mental illness, citing early-onset schizophrenia as a potential cause of his actions, while also presenting a narrative that the mere mention of Tennessee had triggered an uncontrollable episode. The prosecution, however, maintained that Philip had full awareness of his actions. The evidence, they argued, showed a clear pattern of intentional choices. He put on gloves and a ski mask, followed Colleen, committed a brutal attack, and then took measures to conceal and cover up the crime. In Massachusetts, life sentences without parole for juveniles have been ruled unconstitutional. Thus, while Philip was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life, he was given the possibility of parole after 25 years, the maximum the law would allow. Additionally, the judge sentenced him to 2 40-year terms for rape and armed robbery to be served concurrently. This ruling effectively meant that he would not be eligible for parole until he was in his 50s. The judge stated, "When people say it could always be worse, it's difficult for this court to imagine anything worse than the brutal, senseless murder of Colleen Ritzer." The judge acknowledged the devastating loss faced by Colleen's family, recognizing the unimaginable pain and absence they would feel forever. He highlighted that the case's details, the planning and calculated nature of the crime, revealed that Philip was fully aware of his actions. He chose to sentence Philip to a maximum parole eligibility date of 25 years for murder, with concurrent sentences for rape and armed robbery. This meant Philip would serve a minimum of 40 years before having the possibility of parole. During his time awaiting trial, Philip faced additional charges for attacking a youth services worker, adding even more weight to the argument that his actions were rooted in violent tendencies rather than mental instability.
She was just a young, caring girl that had the whole world ahead of her, and to be taken just so tragically is awful.
At first we thought he was either abducted or just gone missing.
His mother, Diana, later reached out to Colleen's family, expressing deep sorrow for their unimaginable pain. She stated, "There are no words to express the pain and sorrow these past 2.5 years have brought, but I know that no one has suffered more than the Ritzer family. My utmost prayers and respect go out to them." In the months following Colleen's death, her father, Tom, expressed the profound grief of losing his daughter in such a brutal manner. "It makes me sick, knowing I walked the same halls as her killer. I drove past her, lying in those woods, and went home. A father's job is to protect his family, to fix things. But I couldn't protect Colleen. I can't fix this." Colleen's mother, Peggy, mentioned that she often stayed away from people because pretending to be happy was too painful. The Ritzer family chose to honor Colleen's memory in a way that captured her love of teaching, kindness, and compassion. They established the Colleen E. Ritzer Memorial Scholarship, which has awarded over $370,000 in scholarships to 82 aspiring teachers since October 2013. In addition, one of Colleen's friends launched the Kindness for Colleen campaign, which encourages people to perform random acts of kindness on October 22nd each year and share them on social media. This annual tradition serves as a beautiful tribute to Colleen's legacy of kindness and compassion. Colleen Ritzer's impact lives on in her community, in the lives she touched, and in the acts of kindness performed in her name. Her legacy remains a testament to the compassion, positivity, and strength she embodied, leaving an indelible mark on all who knew her. This heartbreaking tragedy serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of empathy, compassion, and the difference one person can make in the lives of others. We extend our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Colleen Ritzer. Her life was filled with compassion, dedication, and a true commitment to making a difference, leaving a lasting impact on all who knew her. Our hearts go out to her loved ones as they navigate this profound loss. May they find strength and solace in the cherished memories shared with her, and may her legacy continue to inspire kindness and empathy. If you found this story meaningful, please consider subscribing. Together, we can continue exploring stories that shed light on real events and the impact they leave behind. Thank you for watching.